when you're working as an actor, there's so many things that will happen. Some things are said, some things are promised that don't happen. So here, nothing was promised as such. So I did not come in with an expectation. For me, everything was a win that was coming out of this project. Anaganaga Oka Raju is about these two people. It's about Galatta and Raju. In that space, these are the two characters that are driving the story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I get a role like that, I'm happy with that.
Right.
Going by Naveen's timing, I think it was a no-brainer because he's really good at what he does.
Yeah.
ఒక అమ్మాయి మందు తాగేసి గడ్డం పెంచుకొని తిరగడం చూసావా?
I have always dreamt of playing a character like that. And you'll not believe it, but I kind of manifested a role like that. The whole packaging of it looks amazing. I think Venki Turi is a great director. I'd loved his film Sir before that. And Dulquer Salman Sir is obviously is the best at what he does in that space. And I would have loved to experience that.
So you went up to 40-50 takes.
I mean, there were certain takes where we would literally do like 30 takes. It's exactly 1 year that my film's going to release from the last release I had, and that's not something that I had in mind because for the last 3 years, I've continuously had like multiple releases in a year. So this year had a lot of ups and downs like that because when you have nothing of yours releasing, but you are working, but the world outside doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then you'll see certain articles saying that, oh, you know, after giving big hit or a blockbuster like that, where is she? Has she stopped getting offers? And I'm like, you don't even know what I'm doing, but I don't have to go out and explain it to them. It gets to you when somebody says, oh, you're not pretty because you're of a certain color or you're too skinny, you know, things like that. Miss India was to prove myself that no, I am beautiful, I am pretty, and I think this works. This looks pretty.
டார்லிங் சோலார் 20,500 முன்பணத்தில் இப்பொழுது சோலார் மூலம் இலவச மின்சாரம்.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the Chennai Silks. Let the celebrations begin.
குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம் தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில் ஜெயச்சந்திரன்.
Hi Meenakshi.
Hi.
So I heard that, and this is common knowledge actually, that your dad was this big fan of Meenakshi Chaudhary.
Yes.
And therefore you got your name.
Yes.
Like now you destroyed him a bit by adding an extra A to your name.
Yeah.
So what is it now? M-E-E-N-A-A
Yes.
K-S-H-I.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So why? Let's begin with that.
Oh God. So to begin with, my dad was a big fan of Meenakshi Chaudhary, as you mentioned, and I'm pretty sure he had no idea that, you know, I would also end up becoming a Miss India and then an actor because that was literally nothing that I had ever thought of.
That's a nice
growing
little
up.
flex there. Nice.
Which is just stating facts here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I think when I kind of got into this, so I'm not really much into astrology or numerology and all of that. However, there was this one person who's very close to our family and he's into all of these things. And he suggested my mom that, you know, I think it'll be better. So for my mom's peace of mind is why I kind of did it. Honestly, I don't really know if it makes a difference, but I think it's going good, so I'm just going to keep it this way.
Yeah, but you know, somebody suggested the same thing for me, that I had to do some kind of name realignment because they added up. I think each letter has a number associated with it, and they add up that thing, and then it comes to a number, and then they decide if it's good for you or bad for you. And somebody said you could have a better career if you did this, and I was like not too sure about it, and it also like it felt vaguely odd. I don't know. So
I also feel like a lot of it is to do with the sounds that it makes, the name, and where the more pronunciation is rather than the kind of spelling. Because if you spell it in Hindi, I'm pretty sure the spelling you can't really do much about it. Or in
but
another
you could
language.
do the choti thing.
Correct, but which I've always been doing.
Or Meenakshi. Are you the?
No, but it's at the R. It's not at the E.
Okay,
so
right,
it any which ways doesn't make any difference in that way. So I'm just assuming that it's probably in some way or the other for my mom's peace of mind, because I tried to kind of make the sense of it as well. Some things I think you don't really have a reason for.
So what happened? Somebody just barged in and said, this is what you should do.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, he's like a pandit that we have been like, you know, he's been a family pandit of sorts.
Yeah.
So we listen to him, we do a lot of homams and pujas at home. So he's somebody who's really like a part of our family of sorts.
Nice.
So that's what he suggested, and I was like, okay, cool. I mean, for me, it doesn't really make much of a difference. So if my mom's happy, I'm happy too.
You know, the last we saw you on screen was Sankranti Vastanam.
Yes.
That's exactly a year ago.
Absolutely.
So you waited an entire year to come back with Anaganaga Oka Raju.
Right.
And I keep saying Oka Raju because that's typically what it is, and it's Oka Raju. So with Naveen Polishetty, and that's your film.
Yes.
What are we doing in this year apart from adding the extra A?
So apart from that, I think it's been a really long year for me in a sense that even though like it's exactly 1 year that my film's going to release from the last release I had, and that's not something that I had in mind because for the last 3 years I've continuously had like multiple releases in a year. So probably 2025 was the only year where it was kind of a little calm and less chaotic in terms of the releases and promotions and stuff. However, I have been shooting for 2 films. One was this film and the other is Naga Chaitanya's film, which
Rishabha,
is...
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's also going to be releasing this year. But both the films demanded so much of, the year and my time in terms of the expansion and the days that they required for me for the shoot. Is where I was really caught up. Apart from that, I think I took my time off. Some days are slow, some months are slow, and some years are slow. And that does not mean that there's no movement happening or there's no progress happening. I feel like I really needed this because the last 3 years, like I mentioned, have been so hectic and chaotic. The first year out of those 3 years was when I was kind of finishing my degree and also acting in like both the languages, Tamil and Telugu. And then I had multiple releases happening. So it was too much to kind of wrap my head around, but I was just going with it on an autopilot mode. So I think this year was the year where I actually got a breather, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, even though you do want to just keep working and keep having something or the other of your work out, I think sometimes it's important to give yourself that breather as well. And that really helps you focus more on your work. And I think I did a lot of traveling, a lot of reading, spent some time with my family, did other things apart from acting, which I think was very much needed for this year.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But there's also... So I'm this very type A kind of person. So there's one part of me that's always like, if I'm not doing something,
right,
I can vacate. What is the verb for vacation? I can vacate or whatever it is for
right.
Maybe 2-3 days.
Correct.
And then the 4th day, like something kicks in, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like,
yes.
Somebody else has got this interview, or somebody
right.
is doing this, or somebody is doing that. What's
Right.
happening that this movie is released, and
True.
I want to
True.
It's just like sometimes you're. I wouldn't call it unhealthy. It's just the way you are.
Absolutely.
So I'm the way I am. So,
Absolutely.
But does that ever happen with you?
Oh my God, all the time. I'm
Yeah.
exactly like you when it comes to that. I feel like for me, if I'm not doing something, I feel like I'm not being productive enough in a day if I don't do something with regards to my work or working on myself in that space. So this year had a lot of ups and downs like that, because when you have nothing of yours releasing, but you are working, but the world outside doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then you'll see certain articles saying that, after giving a big hit or a blockbuster like that, where is she? Has she stopped getting offers? And I'm like, you don't even know what I'm doing, but I don't have to go out and explain it to them. So I think it's the social media age that's kind of become this space for you to try to prove, even though you are working, you don't have to tell it to anybody, but they'll just kind of put you in a spot where you're like, you will start thinking, wait, do I have to be doing something? Do I have to kind of keep being in the limelight for them to know that, hey, yes, you know what, I'm doing this work. So that kind of was a little difficult in that space for me, but in my own personal space, I know I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
Every single day, I'm kind of getting into something. I would probably take a writing course that I would love to kind of engage in and do forward something in the future. Or I'm just going out traveling because, a lot of your acting has got to do with your own life experiences, because you understand life better for you to be able to portray it on screen. And I think that when you're just working on camera, you kind of lose touch with yourself, which I think happens a lot because you're not playing yourself, you're playing a character, and then there's a certain direction that is given to you and how you have to, play that around the
Right.
film. And when you're on the set all the time, I kind of feel like you lose touch with the very essence of the instrument that you're using to portray that. And you need to recharge and refill. As an actor, it's very important, which I kind of realized in 2025 because before that, I wasn't giving myself that time. And I was thinking, I have to keep working. That's the only way to kind of, reach my goal or whatever it is that I'm looking for. 2025 gave me that clarity and a reality check that, you know what? You actually have to give yourself time to be able to give your 100% to the work you're putting in.
Yeah, and I think that's natural because in the early days of one's career,
Right.
you're trying to be noticed a lot.
True.
And you're trying to get the big films or
Right.
whatever, the good roles.
Right.
So it's inevitable that you try to, keep your schedule
Right.
packed. And it's
Right.
because once you get to a place where I think you're maybe a little secure,
Right.
then you say, you can
True.
do your vacations and
True.
and you said writing.
True.
What have you been writing?
I mean, I just enjoy this whole process of writing. So there's a lot of things that I've started to enjoy in my free time. I love reading and I love writing. So it started off with just journaling my thoughts, which was the last 3-year thing that I was practicing and doing. But now I've really started to enjoy poetry and like short stories and just writing stuff on the side,
lovely.
which I keep thinking about. So that's something that I've really started to enjoy a lot in my free time.
Are you thinking of putting them out?
I don't know.
Publishing?
I mean, maybe in the future. I haven't really thought about it. But right now, I'm just doing it as a way to kind of, let my, what do you say, that energy, the hyperactive energy that I have to keep doing something. I think that's a good way of letting it out right now.
You're channeling it into
Absolutely.
writing and reading. What is the last thing you read?
In fact, I'm still reading. It's this book called The Flip Life. And it's by Amit Dhawan, if I'm not wrong. And that's a really good book. It's like a comfort book, a book that you need when, you're kind of going through something and you just need that reminder of how things can be.
What is The Flip Life?
It's exactly. So the title itself was so interesting for me to kind of pick it up. I was at the airport and I saw this book and I was like, you know what, let me just see this. It's breaking your routine, and not just breaking your routine, it's just the ideologies in our everyday life, which we kind of forget. You and I, we both may know the certain things that we have to live by, but we forget it. And sometimes we need another person to remind us the very thing that we know. And this book is that reminder.
Like, give me something that it reminded you of.
For example, like every page will have like a certain thought or an idea that, we kind of need sometimes from somebody. Maybe it could be like, sometimes it's okay to say no.
Oh, right.
And sometimes it's all right to set your boundaries and is healthy, even though you may feel guilty about it if you're not somebody who's been doing that. That's one thing which kind of really resonated with me, because that's something that I was doing. And, to bring back the point that you said, that a lot of people may think that we're not doing something. And when you're starting your career, a lot of people will be like, you have to always be visible. You have to always keep doing something so that you're in the public eye. But my take on that was, if it has to be in the public eye, it would rather be good than be bad, because I would rather wait a few months to put something out which is of value than to just put something out for the sake of putting out.
Right. So but I guess in today's day and age, it's also become a little easier for actors because there are ads.
True.
There's
True.
social media.
Absolutely.
You can probably put out a photograph saying having a great time on the sets of the latest Naga Chaitanya movie or something
Right.
like that. I'm just
Right,
like,
right.
something
Right.
just, not too revealing, but at the same time,
True.
telling people that
You're
you're working
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
But, you're talking of something bad, and I take this question completely upon myself. So, in case anybody's looking to create a controversy out of this, please put it on me and not on poor Meenakshi. But when you do something like Goat, right? When you enter the project, it's this fantastic.
Right.
Looks great, right?
Right.
Because of this combination and this
Right.
producer and this actor and this big star and like this director and all that. But then you get snipped out of the film till you're practically. In fact, one of my complaints about it, and I told the director this, is like when your character is killed, it's no longer a spoiler, right?
True.
Like I think it's been a
True.
while. I don't
True.
think it's a spoiler anymore.
True.
But when your character is killed, I don't feel anything for you because I've hardly
Correct.
spent time with you
Correct.
till that point.
True.
Again, all controversy is directed to me, please, not you. But I want to know, when something like that happens,
Yeah.
what is it? Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was your first big Tamil film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When that happens,
Right.
like how do you take it?
For me, I think the reason I kind of said yes to that film was in a way that, I've always been a fan of Thalapathy Vijay sir. Like, I've always been a huge fan. And I'm
Right.
sure, like, people who'd watch it be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So when you give me a call and you're like saying that, oh, hey, there's a film with,
Yeah.
I would be like, obviously, yes, I'm doing it.
Yes.
And when you come to know that, okay, it's one of his last films, wherein, probably he may not do films after that and he's going to get into politics, I'd be like, you know what, I just want to have this as a memory of knowing that, I got to kind of hang out with him on sets, kind of share the screen space with him in that space. So for me, I think more
And
or less
dance
it was
with him.
and dance with him.
Yeah.
So see him firsthand, as in how is he as a person, get to kind of talk to him, be on set with him. I think for me, it was for that experience that I did, because it's not an everyday thing for you to kind of get and talk to some of the most kind of respected people. And I was like, I don't know when I'll get this chance. So for me, I think even though it was a very limited time, and I wish it was more, I mean, I would have loved it. I would have loved for the character to have, a little more of an arc than what it was given. But I have no complaints because I actually got what I had intended to from that particular project.
Right. No, that way I completely understand.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you also said that you went into a bit of depression after that.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know who kind of.
That was not a true
I
thing.
mince my words and saying that I went into depression. No. I've had a
So
lot
I had
of-
this picture of you sitting at home with your chin on your hand and, like
Absolutely
listening
not.
to sad songs. And
Not at all.
No,
I
that
mean,
didn't
if there's
happen.
anything that I would take away from that project was a great experience that I've had and something that only very few would get to experience, being a fan of him for the longest time.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, when I kind of got on the project, there wasn't much that was being revealed. And I would keep asking, what is my character like? What really happens? And I think at that time, they were more or less like, we can't reveal much, but this is like the storyline, so this happens. I didn't know that it was going to be that short, but I did have an idea what the character was. So I was mentally prepared anyway about what it was going to be like. So,
Right.
the character has like two kind of, one is the older version, the younger version. So I knew it's going to be more or less playing on those lines. But never was I in depression. This is, when you're working as an actor, there's so many things that will happen. Some things are said, some things are promised that don't happen. So here, nothing was promised as such. So
Yeah.
I did not come in with an expectation. For me, everything was a win that was coming out of this project. I was never in depression after this. If anything, I have the bestest of memories.
So what happened when you saw that news?
I
That you
mean,
were in
I kind of clarified it, but then it just kind of went in like wildfire. It spread like that. And I mean, people have just assumed things. And I think it was some of those clickbait kind of,
So let us
news.
clarify once and for all
Yes.
that Meenakshi was not
Never.
never depressed after the goat experience.
Absolutely.
Yes. She got what she
Absolutely.
wanted out of it.
Yes,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
I'm glad we put that to rest.
Thank God, I hope so, finally.
Yeah. So, you have this big blockbuster, Sankranti Kostunam.
Yeah.
And, when it's the typical big movie in Tamil or Telugu or Hindi, and I mentioned these three industries because these are very hero-dominated industries. So, the credit usually goes to the hero and the director, and that's typically where the thing goes. How much should you gain out of, not out of this particular movie, but when a movie becomes a success, I'm not talking about the Lucky Basker kind of
Right,
films,
right.
but these kind of movies, which are more mainstream and more commercial, does some of the light shine back on you after the success as well, on the heroine?
For me, I think the most important thing is that if the film does well, we all do well.
Yeah.
I mean, because you do have a film in your kitty which you can say was like something that was a huge success, and it has given you the visibility because a lot of people watched it because they enjoyed watching it. Like you said, apart from a film like Lucky Basker, wherein the character does leave an impression even after it's done and the character is there or not there, but it has an important imprint in the film and the character of the film. But with films which are not very character driven, where it's not to do much with that particular character but the storyline, I do feel like if it kind of is convincing, as an actor, if I do my job to convince the people that I fit in that particular storytelling format, I'm actually very okay with that.
Done.
I don't seek some sort of validation or respect that, I should be getting it. If the film is doing well, I'll automatically get good films. And for me, that is the only funda I want. I just want to keep being a part of good films, do films that kind of leave an impression in one way or the other. If it's too commercial, as long as my character has something or the other in a way that can leave an impact or helps in the arc of the story in a way, I'm okay with that. Because, not every time, every character will have that length, will have that sort of, a story that is heavily relying on them.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that the character is completely invalid in that space. It does have its own, but it's limited. And I don't mind playing that because, in our own lives also, we'll have a lot of people who may not be the main heroes, but they are the very important characters that you need in your life. So I think that's how I kind of perceive every character that I do. There are certain that will be remembered. There are certain that helped kind of take the story in a certain way where you cannot imagine. It had a positive light. It kind of left something in a way when it feels complete. It doesn't feel incomplete in a way. And for me, that's important and enough. I think I just work for that. Now, if the director gets the credit, if the hero gets the credit, if the producer gets the credit, I'm fine with that because I get to be a part of something which is worth giving credit for in the first place.
No, 100%. And full marks to you for a very good answer. But what I'm trying to say is also that does the light shine back on you in the sense that, so you're like, I think you answered a bit of that. I think you're saying that, listen, I enjoyed playing that part and I got a hit. So ultimately the industry sees me as that as a part of my hit list.
Right.
Hit list as in,
Yeah.
so that's how it works, right?
For me, I don't really think too much about I should be given a role and people should be raving about it and all of that. I would love to get an important character if it's in a space and if it's a character where it's it's a female-driven character, let's just say, or it's like Anaganaga Oka Raju is about these two people. It's about Charulata and Raju. In that space, these are the two characters that are driving the story.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I get a role like that, I'm happy with that.
Right.
But does that mean that, you know, if I get a role which is a little less substantial but impactful nonetheless, would I have a problem with that? Not at all.
Yeah.
We're all storytellers in one way or the other, right?
And you got to do a bit of comedy that you hadn't done earlier.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that
Absolutely.
was, yeah.
So for me, it's just experimenting, pushing my own envelope of kind of what I can do, what I'm capable of, and trying new things. And I think starting off, it's kind of quite you know, less stressful when you know it's not completely on you, and it's okay. You're allowed to make a mistake or two and learn from that, as long as it kind of helps you improve in the next project that you're a part of.
Right.
So I just take it in that way.
So, you know, the book you're reading, it says, one of them says it's okay to say no.
Yes.
Have you been saying no a lot?
I have actually. 2025 was the year of saying no a lot.
Wow.
And not feeling guilty about it. I think that was
Why
my
would you
major
feel
way.
guilt?
I think for the longest time, I would just feel bad.
That you
I
said
think,
no to a film?
a film or said no to somebody that, you know, I don't want to do this, or I don't want, like, it just started off from the smallest of things, saying that, okay, I don't want to go out, or I don't want to hang out, I don't want to be a part of this event, I don't want to be a part of this party, I don't want to do this film. I just, if it does not make me want to do it, I don't have to do it. And I think I did not have this luxury, like you said. I think now I'm in a state, a bit of a confident space where I can say no and it's okay. I don't think I was in that space 1 year back also. For me to be able to say that, you know, if I can let this go, it's all right, there'll be more things coming in and I can wait.
Right.
I don't think I was in that stage earlier. But I think last year was the first year for me to be able to say, you know what, it's okay, I can sit at home and wait, but I'll not do something in a way which I feel like I have to. Just because, you know, people are saying, or just because it's a great combination. But if I don't resonate with it, I don't have to.
What about the flip side of it? Oh, wow. See, the flip
Yeah.
side. That's what the
Good
book is called,
callback,
right?
yeah.
So, see, the flip side of it is that I'm sitting at home.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything anyway.
Right.
This is a chance to go and have some fun.
Right.
With probably a big actor, some nice, like, good director, a good team, whatever it is. Even though I'm not contributing much, it's just a time. I can go have some fun and come back.
Right.
You don't think like that?
No, I would love to, but I didn't have that time also to just go and have fun, because I was shooting for
These
films
two things,
in a
right,
way.
right,
So
right,
which kind of took a lot of my time in that space.
Right.
But when it comes to listening to scripts and all, even if it is for this show, I was like, it's okay, I can wait it out. I don't have to do it, and I did that actually.
Okay.
A lot of people would be like, you know, it's just fine to do it because you know, it's not going to do anything in that space. But I'm saying it should be interesting to me, because if I'm spending those 40 days, 50 days on that set with those people, like you said, if it's kind of fulfilling you in one way or the other, that's great. But if it's doing nothing for you, then why do I have to waste 40, 50 days of my life doing something that's, I'm getting nothing out of it?
Right.
You know, why waste that? I would rather keep that space for something that's more valuable.
You're like this wise soul wrapped in a young person's body. It's just like,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
so
probably like 16 right now.
No, you know, when you said you spent a lot of time shooting for Chaitanya's film and for
Yes.
Naveen's film, the
Yes, yes.
Anaganaga Oka Raju.
Right.
This doesn't look like a film that, I mean, Chair's film looks like a, you know, big production, as in one would assume that, okay, there's lots of sets, visual effects, whatever going on there. But this looks like a film that's, that might not be that, what took so long then? I mean, what was the special thing about the film that took so much time?
I think it was a very challenging. It was a very challenging experience in the way, like, it's the first time I'm pulling off a role which is a lot of comedy, which has not happened, you know.
Okay.
In Sankranti Ki Vastanam, I was a part of a comedy space.
Like an ensemble.
It wasn't a comic role. Whereas in this, she has a bit of that comic space to her and her character that is being given. So I wanted to get that right, and I wanted to make sure that I kind of, you know, do justice to that. Which is why we did a lot of workshops for it. We
Okay.
kind of spent a lot of time as a team with the director, with Naveen, and, you know, myself, just sitting there and kind of practicing the lines, how we can say it, how we can tweak it, and to get that comic timing right. I feel like for me, it was more or less about getting that right. And I think this particular film had its own pace. I feel like, you know, a lot of the times, because even Naveen is somebody who wants to get it absolutely right. So even if it takes like, I don't know what, 40, 50 takes, that's all right. Which is why, I mean, it's fine as long as, you know, we are getting what we want at the end of the day.
Right.
With that, which I think was why we kind of spent a lot of time on this space. But when you watch the film, it looks so effortless. But behind that effortlessness was so much of effort that was being put into
Nice.
it. And I think that is what took a lot of time for this.
Right. So you went up to 40, 50 takes.
I mean, there were certain takes where we would literally do like 30 takes. 30 takes, sometimes the light, sometimes the focus, sometimes us, a lot of those things kind of went into going by those things. Some scenes were very challenging in terms of, the technical aspect of it, so we had to get it right. A lot of those things actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
Please continue.
No, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, so I saw a bit, like some bits of it, and
Oh.
there's a bit about like a golden retriever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the kind of silly joke that I totally loved. You know,
Right,
it's
right.
like silly as in like
Slapstick.
the dad jokes or whatever they call them
Right.
these days, right? So now when you're in that space, you have to. It's a little difficult to pull off because it's actually not some
True.
brilliantly crafted
Correct.
line which
Correct.
lends to it's an exchange.
Absolutely.
And that's what you have to get right.
Right, exactly. It looks easy, but it's not. I mean, when I say it, it might be like, oh, why? What is so difficult about
Yeah.
it? But to make it so nonchalant and to make it just so casual about it, even though you know that
Yeah.
it's, in that way, I think that is tough to be able to pull off something so simple without it looking so complicated is I think sometimes a tough bit. Even though I really enjoyed shooting for that particular scene, it was a lot of fun. And when we first did a few takes, I would only start giggling in between. So it was a little difficult because there was something very funny about it in the way you'd react.
Yeah.
It's less about the dialogues, more about the reactions and how you kind of, get that whole thing going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this, when you do, you mentioned doing many takes for this film, and I'm sure for other films as
Yes,
well.
yes.
There are some actors that come in, hit their marks, the
Right.
first, second take,
Right.
and they're good, and then they start losing energy.
Right.
But sometimes their co-stars are, like they need to warm up, and by the 7th, 8th take, they start hitting whatever
Right.
they're supposed to do.
Right.
What kind are you?
I'm usually the one in the first few is when I'm in my best because I'm thinking about what I can do in the first few takes, how I can improve or tweak a bit. I think by the end of it, even I kind of lose the energy that I have or the kind of throw or probably I stop thinking after a certain time. It becomes mechanical for me, I think, in my opinion. And I hate it because I don't want it to look very mechanical. However, I think for some actors, like you said, it's about just warming up to get to that space where it looks very natural and effortless. However, for me, it's becoming more of an effort because then it becomes mechanical and I don't really enjoy being it so organic. I think which is why we took a lot of takes in a certain time because I think sometimes when he would get it right, I am now not being in it as much as I was in the first few takes. So a lot of that kind of happens and you have to kind of manage that somehow and there'll be that one take that kind of magically works and everything kind of goes well in that.
But how do you manage that? Saying one has to manage it is easy, but
Right.
how do you actually manage it? Because the thing is, there's probably a part of your brain that stopped worrying
Right.
and you're like a little bored also because
Right.
you're like, you've done it.
Right.
And then this other person, that you have to keep doing it simply because
Correct.
that match. I'm talking about generally, right? Not
general,
any
yeah.
no names and all
Right,
that.
right.
So what do you do to keep yourself like invested in that, like maybe after 10 takes?
I think I take some time off.
Okay.
And then I just like be there.
Like
and
you
then,
go back to your caravan or something?
Not really. Just be there on set. Just take like a 5-minute breather and we'll just kind of work on what we can do because I don't want it to look repetitive because then I'll say the dialogue in a certain way. Now
Right.
I know exactly where to pause, but in the first few takes it came naturally.
Right.
So I'll try and forget it and then again remember it. So it's a bit of a extra work, but I think I kind of have now learned to do that. It did not come easy to me initially and I'd get very irritated and I was like, oh, because I feel like it came out so nicely, but there's so many aspects to, getting it right. And I think now I'm getting used to the fact that I can try and act like I'm doing it for the first time. So I have to kind of tell my mind that and get it naturally. And a lot of the times you'll see my first take and my last take will be completely different from each other in that space.
Right.
The essence of it will be same, but I'm saying I have tried to change it because I feel like if I don't, it becomes too repetitive for me. And I think it sometimes works in a
So
way.
Naveen Pulshetty is a comic. So he's got that aspect of him is like he's
Right.
refined it over the years because
Correct.
that's his thing. You like, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if you have a parallel life as a stand-up or whatever it is. You don't, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah. So to reach that space, what did it take you? Like,
I think for me, all it took was to bring that extrovert that I'm with my friends out, because in general, I think, or that's what my friends say, I'm really funny in a
Nice.
way. And for me to kind of bring that to the table, because in general, I'm very like an introverted human, but with my people, I'm kind of not. And that's when I'll make the funniest of faces. I'll have the most, exaggerated expressions and a very like PJ of sorts coming in, or like thinking, hey, you know what, that rhymed, but it's funny. It's funny to me probably, but it's just that I have that side to me as well, which I kind of never got to explore on screen. And I think through this character in film, I really did get to have that. And they were more than happy to kind of have me in that way, because they had also never thought about it.
Right.
So they thought it'll be an extra work to kind of get that funny side out of me, but I think I already had it. I just got a chance to kind of
show it on.
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So when, we'll talk about Lucky Basker a bit, because you've said that Sumati, the character that you played in
Yes.
Lucky Basker, is your favorite character.
Yes.
Why?
For so many reasons. I think the first one being the character itself. It's something that I have always dreamt of, playing a character like that. And you'll not believe it, but I kind of manifested a role like that.
You use that word a lot in interviews.
I do, yes.
You're a big manifester.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am. I believe a lot in manifesting your life. I believe a lot in a kind of making it happen for yourself. Of course, with actions put in the right direction and the focus that you have. Sumati literally came to me like that, and it came in the most unexpected ways.
So if you could word that manifestation, how would it be? I want a role that allows
Not like
me.
that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really like have
It's very specific.
Nothing like that.
Oh.
I just kind of think to myself that this is what I want, and I kind of have that. But I'm very specific in terms of what kind of role exactly am I looking for. And I'll say to myself, or probably I'll write it somewhere, not exactly that I'm manifesting this, but it's just that it's there in my mind. And I look back, when I said that I journal a lot, I
It's
think,
not like I want
No.
to work with Dulquer Salman.
I mean, I would have, if that is the way to work about it, I would have done that a long time back with all of it. But I just think that for me, it happened by aligning myself to the right thought process and goals. How it'll happen is not my concern. And when it'll happen is also not my concern. It's just going to happen is something, and I have to be prepared for it.
Right.
And when Sumati happened, it's a lot, because it was a lot of what Venkat Luri sir had in mind for the character, how she was, her personality. And it coincided a lot with how I am as a person, and a bit of what my mother was like. So, I had like a proper prototype that I could look at, get inspiration from, and kind of put that in this character. So I really enjoyed doing that. So when I say my mom was so happy when she saw that, because she remembered a lot of that thing, how she would dress up.
Like her mannerisms?
Yes, a lot
Okay.
of those things, and I remember her saying that. So for me, it's special firstly in that way, and the second that I think I went out of my comfort zone, and I did a role which was, a lot of people were like, why would you do a mother's role in that space?
Okay.
And I actually did not think about it that way. I was like, it's a great role, and I mean, the whole packaging of it looks amazing. I think Venkat Luri is a great director. I'd loved his film Sir before that, and Dulquer Salman sir is obviously like is the best at what he does in that space, and I would have loved to experience that. And it just came together in that space.
Right.
So yeah, it's special in so many ways for the whole experience, the journey, and what that Sumati character meant to me in that way.
Can you tell me one mannerism in that movie that I can now go look back and say, okay, this is what you borrowed from your mother?
Yeah, so there's this certain way of her when she would handle, every time my dad would come home, sometimes he'd be late with his own friends and all of that. And I remember how she would be angry, but she'll not say anything. Like, she'll just be like, she'll keep quiet. My father would know that exactly what has happened. Now she's going to ask me that question. But it would always go in that funny tone of, there's a scene where, like, what are you doing? You started drinking and stuff like that. And I remember that scene because I remember my dad had come late one night, and I was looking at the, window of what was happening, and my mom was like, come in. She's quiet. My dad is looking, and then he understood that space. So I think that certain bits I remember, it's very like intricate in that way. But I remember how she would handle that, and she would never cry in front of us. But then, there were days when we also had it tough going in, and she was always that pillar saying that we have enough. You can always give because we'll have enough. We'll get you another toy, or we'll get you another shoe, whatever in that space. So those things I remember very clearly in how she handled it. So I tried to replicate the exact same thing.
Nice, and she recognized that.
Yes.
So that's yeah.
She literally told me that scene that, oh, you remember we did the same thing as a kid. I was like, yeah, I do. And I tried to do that only. So she's very, very happy. And I think she kind of teared a bit looking at it. So that's her favorite film as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when, last year we had, Rashmika in The Girlfriend.
Yes.
Now that's the kind of movie that, across industries, it becomes a talking point simply because it's not often that a heroine-oriented film comes out like that with a, with that kind of mounting and all that kind of stuff, right? So have you manifested that in your life? Like I need to, not that particular, but something like something that revolves around you.
Absolutely, because I mean, aren't we all the hero of our own films and lives? And I think when we look at it from that perspective, we see so much happening around us. And if you can just put a camera on seeing this is the life story of, for a man and for a woman as well, right? We have so much going on in our lives and so many stories that will never come out. And if that is put into a story, in a film, that'll be so cool and interesting. I always wonder that. So I never look at it from a gender space, but yes, as a storyteller, because there's so many stories in Hollywood that we see. It's a woman as a protagonist, and that's where the story goes in.
Right.
And I find that so cool, and I love that more of it is coming out now, even in our storytelling. The writers are writing more scripts like that. And it's being accepted by the audiences for the mere storytelling bit of it and the story of it, and not just because it's a woman, as the lead in that space. And I think that's very cool, and I love that.
No, I look at it from a gender space sometimes simply because the ratio is so skewed. That's why it's not that,
absolutely.
Either, because there are so few of these movies that when The Girlfriend comes, it just comes like, wow, such a movie actually happened. You like it, you don't like, that's a different thing. But the fact that it exists, it's like a bit of a miracle. That's where
one of my all-time favorites is Queen. And I think I have to say it's more writing than to do with when you get a great writer.
The Kangana movie.
Yes, Queen. If you've seen that, you'll realize how amazing. It was so entertaining. It was commercial. It had a great story, great acting. It was all put together in a way where I enjoyed it. And it's her. It's Kangana's film in that way. So I feel like a lot of those stories need to be written. It's about the stories. I'm pretty sure a lot of actors are there waiting to do, and people will watch it. But it has to be a story worth watching. It has to be written in that way. And I don't think we have a lot of that happening. Because like you said, a lot of us are into that male-driven, hero-driven space where we always imagine it like that. Now, Loka has broken the stereotype with that. I think that is coming in where, she is projected as something. And I think that's very cool. I'm so all in for, films like that, stories like that, and they're being watched. So
with, when you have this kind of like an atmosphere happening where you have this skew and you're going to obviously say, I'm getting this, I'm going to make the best out of this. How do you handle the fact that there are going to be some unrealized dreams?
That's a good one. I think for me, I always...
And this is true of everybody. Like it could be me, it could be anybody. Like anybody in their jobs, right?
Absolutely. I just think that I try and do the best I can with whatever best is given to me. Like if there are like 5 scripts that are given to me, and out of that I think that these are the 2 that I can probably see myself, I would say yes to it. And probably one I would love, the other I would not so much. But I'm saying out of the options that I'm given to, I can see myself doing this, and I can probably see that film, in a certain way. I think it's more or less with the choices that are given and the decisions you make with that. Because I wish I had a space where I could say that, this is the kind of film that I want, write it for me. But I don't know when that will happen.
Right.
So for me, it's whatever's given to me, I pick and choose out of that and I make the best out of it. So I think right now I'm in that space, and I'm really enjoying it because I'm getting to explore even more about what I want to do and what works for me and what doesn't.
Right. But are you a good reader of scripts?
I enjoy reading. Yes, I really enjoy reading. And
so do they write the dialogues in English and give it to you? Okay,
yes.
Right.
So when I kind of asked for if they give a narration, because I remember for Naga Chaitanya sir's film, Karthik Dandu, the director, had given me an 8-hour narration.
Wow.
Which went on a span of 2 days. Like 4 hours was first half and 4 hours was second half. Like the 2 days, I had like that detailed narration wherein I could imagine that. So if I have a narration like that, I don't even think I need to read it, because he exactly kind of, from the details of the door creaks and then this comes in and then there's this sound coming in. So it's a very imaginative narration that's happening, but it looks like I'm reading only, you know. I love those kind of narrations. I really enjoy it when the director also is invested in it and, you know, telling it with that exact detail. Sometimes it'll just be a narration of an hour or two, and then I'll kind of get to read that, so I get my idea and perspective of what it is.
Right.
So I enjoy doing both of them. Yeah.
Right. So you get the narration first, and then you read it to see how the director narrates it and how you imagine it.
Yes.
In your
Yes.
in your head.
Right. A lot of the times they, you know, sometimes they're not able to explain it to me in English because they may be more comfortable in a certain language. So then I would ask them, even not for a narration also, but just like a storyline, and then give me the script and I'll read it. But a lot of the times they're also comfortable explaining the story because they want it there, you know, they want to explain it in their view of how they look at it. And I'm all cool with that because at the end of the day, director's the captain of the ship and I'm a completely director's actor.
How did this Naveen film, because comedy is a little difficult to narrate, right?
Right.
How did, like, you receive that?
Right.
As in, like, did you get the script or?
Right. So, you know, when I was being told the story, they were still writing the second half of the film, and I think there were a lot of tweaks that were supposed to be made. So the first half was ready, and that's what they narrated to me. And I was just laughing and giggling in every other bit of it. And for me, the thing is, if it's a comedy film and if I'm really enjoying it, I think the audiences will enjoy it too.
Right.
So for me, I would love to be part of a film that I would want to myself see in theaters. And if I'm enjoying it, I think it's a no-brainer to say yes to. And going by Naveen's timing, I think it was a no-brainer because he's really good at what he does.
Yeah, he is.
So
yeah.
that part I don't have to even worry about, and how he pictures it, how he sees it, and what he expects out of Charulata. So I think it was in that space. Yeah.
Nice. You know, there's a part that I read that you wanted to be, your dad was in the army.
Yes.
And you wanted to be a doctor and serve the nation. What happened to that manifestation?
I did finish the degree.
Okay.
For me, as a kid, I just wanted to kind of fulfill those three things. I wanted to be a Miss India, a doctor, and an IAS officer.
As a kid, you wanted to be a Miss India?
Yes.
Like, how old were you?
Probably 4 or 5.
You, at 5 years old, you knew what a Miss India was?
Because we had Gul Panag. She was, you know, Major General Panag's daughter at that time. And
Oh,
she
right,
was,
that connection.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she had come in one of the events in the army functions, and I was like, who's that? And everybody, you know, she's wearing a crown, and they would tell me that she's a Miss India. And a lot of Miss Indias are actually from, you know, the armed forces. You'd see Aishwarya Rai, Sushmita Sen, and Anushka Sharma. They're all from, you know, similar background. So it wasn't something that you'd never heard of. You know, those topics would keep coming, you know, that person's daughter's become this, or she's here, that here. So, but when I saw Gul Panag there is when, for the first time, I was like, okay, you know what, I also want to have that. I want
You
to be
want
Miss
that
India.
trophy?
I wanted to be Miss India. It was just
Did you stand in front of your bathroom mirror and practice the
really.
speech? And
But I had a lot of times, you know, kind of thought about it, and I would imagine it. I would keep taking the cutouts of those Femina Miss India, put it on my Almira, and would just keep looking at it, thinking probably someday I'll be there too.
But what does it mean actually? Like, what, I mean, that title, for example, if you get a national award,
Yeah.
it means that you have given a very good performance in that movie, at least in the eyes of that jury, right? What does a Miss India represent?
You know, now if you ask me the definition and the meaning of it all, it's completely different. But when you
and I'm asking this with genuine curiosity,
Right.
so I'm not trying, like,
Right.
because I mean, I know it's a big thing, and I
Right.
know that there's a lot of humanitarian stuff that goes with
Right.
it, that you're asked
Right.
to represent stuff and all that, but what is it?
I think more than that, it's the opportunities that kind of, that title or that particular pageant gives you. I don't know if it's the same now, but I'm pretty sure it was like that some time back, where a lot of the people were in that space. But for me, specifically, if you ask me why I had these dreams, the 3 dreams that I specifically wanted was because I think as a kid, you know, I mean, in our village, and this is quite, in a way that might come off in a wrong way, but I was very like Savla, you know, growing up in that space.
Like
And-
dusky?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes, dusky. So in our village, or, you know, where I come from, it's a very like conservative space where they'd be like, you know, oh, okay, if she's a little dusky and if she's not fair, for the looks, people will not marry her. So she's to be brainy. So at least that she, you know, if she's brainy enough, she'll get a good job and then she'll get better prospects for marriage.
Oh.
I mean, that is what was, you know, kind of, I've heard growing up, or I've seen people do in the villages, or the people around us that would be like. So for me, I was like, oh, okay, so if I'm not fair enough, at least I can be intelligent enough, or I can be, you know, in that space, which is why I wanted to be a doctor. And also because biology was a subject that I, any which ways, was interested in. So for me, I think it started off with saying that, you know what, I want to prove it to the world that I am beautiful, because my dad was always somebody like, you can be anything you want, and there are no labels attached that this is something that you can do, you cannot. But I have grown up seeing that, and it kind of gets to you, and especially when you're a girl, it gets to you when somebody says, oh, you're not pretty because you're of a certain color, or you're too skinny, things like that. They defined, and I believed it also. I think growing up, you as a teenager or a kid, what would you do? You'd obviously be like, oh, probably that is true. There is a certain set of beauty standards.
Yeah.
So Miss India was to prove myself that no, I am beautiful, I am pretty, and I think this works. This looks pretty. So when you tell me that I'm a Miss India, so I think out of a lot of people, I'm also beautiful for you to consider me a Miss India. So that was something that I did for myself.
So to prove that you are beautiful to yourself
Probably.
or to others?
For myself.
For
But you know what?
right.
I knew it. I mean, my parents were always in the space that you can be whatever you want, and there's no certain label of beauty or intelligence and stuff like that. But it was for myself. I wanted to be like, I am, and I'm going to just prove this for myself. I want to win this competition to tell myself that yes, I'm right in that space.
Okay.
And that is what I did. And this was my own personal
And then did
journey.
you go and post like pictures of that all over your village to say that?
So I went and I celebrated my victory in the village.
Nice.
And so this was something that was unheard of. They were like, oh, she's going into the dirty business, they wear clothes. Because I come from Haryana, Punjab, very conservative space. They're not very open to this
Dirty
idea
business
of,
as in films.
yeah, they'd be like, because in pageants, you'd be wearing bikinis, you have that as one round.
Yeah.
And they were like, why does she need to do that in that space? Sort of a thing. So it was a very, everybody was opposed to it. So the fact that I won, I kind of did a lot of things that I didn't even realize I did, and made a difference in a lot of lives of people around, girls around, young girls. And I'm so happy that that happened, because even though I don't see it now, it did make some change on their thinking and how they have always thought of it. So now they respect me, and every time I come in, they're like, with respect in that space. So yeah.
That's a very nice explanation actually. It's
Yeah.
for something that is
It's
a
quite
little...
personal. I've never really kind of told this to anybody. I don't even think my parents know this.
Okay.
But yeah.
But thank you for sharing that. But when you entered acting, how did you find that? I mean, did you take to it like right away, or did it take you some time to kind of figure out what was happening, what I'm supposed to stand here, and this is my best profile, all those kinds of things?
I think I'm still trying to figure that out.
Wow.
Because I never really thought about the outside aspect of it. And for me, it was more or less like, am I convincingly putting out the emotion? Because when I got into acting, I didn't want to get into acting. I just thought I'll try it out. And I did a lot of workshops or theatre, whatever, all of that space that you do. And I really started to enjoy the process of it. And like I said, for me, it was never about looking a certain bit. That I kind of just did to prove, that, I am this. But I have never been somebody who's focused on how it is like to be on the outside. And I think that has kind of worked in my favor, but a lot of the times it'd be like, you should dress a certain way, you should be a certain way, you should attend certain parties, you should be in certain events where you'll be noticed and stuff like that. That part I never understood. When I was in Bombay, they would tell me a lot, there'll be like certain agencies and all, you have to do this, there's a certain way it is done. I don't think I did any of that, and it started in the most unconventional way, wherein I was in an acting workshop. I met a fellow actor, and he was like, you know what, I think, you may be fit for a role we're writing, or there's a character, and that's how I got into films. And luckily, and thank God for that, because for God's sake, I cannot, do these. I'm the most awkward person in these kind of events. I don't even know what to do in that place. So I think God's really kind of saved me in that space of doing that. And the only way I understand is just, whatever the character is, I don't even get into the costume bits of it. I really just leave it to the people who are assigned to it, because I'm assuming they're good at that job with hair and makeup and everything. I don't really put too much focus into that. So I think, for me, it's more or less just getting the acting bit right, because I think a lot of us actors, I think, have that imposter syndrome. Trying to be like, maybe they'll figure out that you're not convincing them, or you're not that
I think
person.
that's...
I think in life also,
everybody,
right?
Yeah.
So it's that constant space. So for me, it's not even about the looks. It's more or less about being convincing in that space.
Yeah.
So that's
it's like, I think it's with everybody that's got a slightly overactive mind.
True.
I have one, so I'm saying that. I don't know if you have one,
Same,
but
likewise.
yeah, because every time somebody says, hey, nice interview, and I'll be like,
yeah.
nice. What does that word mean? I mean, did
Correct.
they really watch it, or
Correct.
are they just saying that to make me feel good, or
Was it like an taunt, or was it like actually something
Yeah,
that
something
they meant?
like, or
True.
just like was it a bad interview and they're just
True.
saying it's nice because they want me to say, okay, you know what, next one will be better. You know, you really don't want to get into here.
True,
you know,
true.
my mind is this, you know.
Exactly same. You know, I'll go back to my vanity after I've done a scene and I'll ask my team and I'm like, did you think the scene was like okay? Did I do like okay? They're like, yeah, it was good. I mean, the directors also said it's okay, but I keep thinking, did he say okay because he wanted to get done with the shoot and move on to the next? Or they actually said it was good, you know?
Yeah.
So that keeps going on in my head all the time.
Yeah, and it's not a good head to be
It
with.
is not.
It is not.
Oh my god, so much of unnecessary stress. I've lost weight because of this thinking.
I'm not
Overthinking. I swear.
I should overthink more then. So, you know, what can you tell us about the Naga Chaitanya film?
Oh, that's okay. That is a very
Because that's also a
interesting-
new zone for you.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's one very ambitious, passionate kind of way that we are going in. It is a story, and it's a completely story-driven. It's not even about the characters. The characters play a role in that story, and which is what is so interesting. It's not about any of us, but we're all kind of playing like a role in kind of telling that. And the story is so interesting. It's the first time I kind of am exploring this mythological thriller genre, and
Right.
I've not done that before. I didn't even know what it's like. A lot of it is like CG shots. So, you know, most of the time you're with the green carpet and you're having to imagine things. So that was quite interesting and fun for me because I haven't done that so far. So a lot of those things are quite new, but it's quite interesting to see how it all pans out because when you'd see the rough shots and you're like, oh wow, okay, so, you know, that's how it's going to look. So it's quite a new experience because a lot of the films that we are now making are getting into that CG space or where you have green screen most of the time. And how do you kind of do that? Because with humans, it's easier, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of action reaction happening. But with that, there's so much going on. So I think that has been quite challenging, but it's been fun. And I think Karthik Dandusar's vision is insane. I mean, when you watch Virupaksha, you'll see what he's done with whatever limited space he had and how he's created a storytelling space. And with this, it's going to be like even bigger.
And I think it's like, I would imagine it's a great experience for you because that's kind of where cinema is moving.
It is.
You know, this bigger, you know, like larger than life,
True.
mythological stuff or
True.
maybe fantasy stuff or wherever
Right.
it is, because everybody keeps saying that, you know, there are certain movies that people will go to because it's a big screen movie.
Right.
So that kind of negates the success of a Lucky Basker, which is not technically a big screen movie, but then I guess, you know, like Dulquer explained it to me very well. He said, the film, whatever I do, I wanted to be mounted on a certain, like with a certain vision. And I think that maybe helped as well, apart from the fact that it is a very identifiable script. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that you put this point out in terms of saying how the scale of it kind of is there. But we're also kind of heading in a way wherein now the audiences are becoming very smart with the storytelling of it.
Yeah.
And you know, like some of the Malayalam cinema that has come in the recent times has done so well. And I mean, it's not really mounted on that big scale, but it's just the story of it that resonates with people and is interesting. It's fresh. It's out of the box. And I think it has to be either something that they've never seen before, like in terms of the grandness, in terms of the scale or imagining, or it has to be something that is just so interesting and intriguing as a story that kind of hooks them into that. So I feel like it's going in a very different space where both are working, but it has to be really good in both the spaces.
Right.
You know, if this CG is not in that space, I feel like you'll be like, what are we watching? Like, why do I spend so much of money? So it better be like a visual spectacle for you to watch. So yeah.
Yeah. So, like wrapping up, all the best for your film, your Sankranti
Thank
release.
you.
After a
Thank
year of Sankranti
Yeah.
release, and I hope the second A like really pays off and
Oh,
proves.
we really need to have a chat with that Pandit. So
Yeah,
I'm
or we
so
like we
too.
need to haul him up. But you know, what is your, like, you know, this is an HR question. What's your long-term plan in the sense that do you want to start producing films for yourself? Do you want to, or are you not thinking about all that and just living the moment?
Honestly, yeah. I don't think that I've reached that space yet in my head where I'm thinking of, you know, digressing and, you know, kind of diversifying into that space. I'm really enjoying the acting space that I'm in.
Yeah.
And I would love to explore as many languages, as many stories that I can as an actor be able to do. And yeah, but I think I'm just going to continue doing something or the other, even when I feel like, okay, acting is something that I am not wanting to do as much, but probably get into the other aspect. But cinema is, I think, going to be a long haul for me.
Yeah, nice. Oh, before we finish, you should manifest yourself a good Malayalam movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Would love to be a part of something really amazing and interesting.
Nice. Thank you so much.
Thank
All the
you.
best.
Thank you.
டார்லிங் சோலார் 20,500 முன்பணத்தில் இப்பொழுது சோலார் மூலம் இலவச மின்சாரம்.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from the Chennai Silks. Let the celebrations begin.
குறைந்த விலை நிறைந்த தரம் தங்கள் தேவைகள் அனைத்தும் ஒரே இடத்தில் ஜெயச்சந்திரன்.